Good evening and welcome to the City of Laconia regular planning board meeting. It is Tuesday, July 7th, 2015, and it is 6:30, and we have a published agenda to follow. Kalina, would you please call the roll call?
Mike Delavecchio.
Here.
Gail Denayo. Here. Jerry Mayu.
Here.
Councilor Bounds.
Here.
Bill Contardo.
Here.
Chairman Hutchins.
Here.
Director Saunders. And Randy, Assistant Director Laughlin.
Excellent. And Michael, would you, as an alternate, vote this evening in place of Don Richards?
Yes, I will.
The ex officio members you can't be an alternate for, but the ones that are full members of the board, that's who you will vote for. Don's not here this evening.
Very good.
So the first thing on our agenda, right, we're all set. The first thing on our agenda is the presentation for the Master Plan Advisory Team presentation of community values. And Shanna, would you be so kind?
Yes, thank you. Can you use the lights for me? Thank you. So what I wanted to do, and Master Plan Advisory Team members may trickle in as I speak, and Warren Hutchins serves on the Master Plan Advisory Team, as does Hamilton McLean, is talk about the values that we've come up with. And I want to talk really quickly about what values are and why they're important. Because, and I'll speak about this, but the state statute typically speaks to a vision statement. And in working with the Orton Foundation and their Heart and Soul process, we really focused on values. So, as you can see here, a community value can be addressed by multiple actions, and a number of community values can be impacted by a single action. So they cut across chapters, policies, and actions in the master plan. They are gonna be a part of many of the different chapters of the master plan. For example, safety is a value, but safety may be brought up in the transportation chapter, in the land use chapter, in the governance chapter, and in other chapters of the master plan. So each value is kind of unique because it includes a topic or a theme, but also an explanation of what that theme means in the local context or how that's evident in the community. And then a direction for that theme. So a stronger economy, a more effective government, some sort of direction that we're moving that value in. And then the vision is typically kind of how we put all those values together and captures kind of overall what the community believes is most important based on these values. So the vision, the soup, is a collection of all these little pieces, all these values that go in together to give the community one big vision. What our Master Plan Advisory Team did is because we spent so much time on the values and they feel very strongly about the values, that those values will speak to our vision. We are not going to try and whittle down those values to one large vision statement. Next value, please. So as I mentioned earlier, the state statute dictates how we move forward on this master plan. And one of the pieces that's required is this vision section. And it says this section shall contain a set of statements which articulate the desires of the citizens affected by the master plan, not only for their locality, but for the region and the whole state. It shall contain a set of guiding principles and priorities to implement that vision. And we really feel that the values we've come up with meet that criteria. So how did we come up with these values? We had surveys out. We had surveys that we asked people questions out on the street. We had surveys online. We had surveys when we went out to public forums, such as the Rotary, such as the Lakeport Association, such as the Main Street Initiative, such as the Weirs Action. This is kind of fun. I don't know how many people are familiar with this. Is called a Wordle. It's a little app that you can download where if you put in the answers to questions to the questions that came up regarding what's a priority, it will come up with a visual of the most popular words that were used, and the larger the word, the more times it was used. So you can see from this visual that in answering how would you reimagine Laconia, or what is the most important thing in Laconia, these are the answers that came up the most frequently. Downtown, community, people, sense, activities, natural, economy, beauty, lakes, local, events, people, weirs, and then words, and as words were less frequently used, they get smaller and smaller. But so we took results from the survey. We took results from the community forum that we had. This is the results from the New Hampshire Listens Community Forum, where they came up with these 6 priorities that those groups around those tables came up with. Creating economic development opportunities that honor the city's natural beauty and rich history, a city supportive of youth, a city for everyone including a range of income levels, valuing and taking care of Laconia's natural beauty, making sure everyone can get around the city easily, and telling a positive story about the Laconia community. Those were the priorities that came out of the forum. Next. And then we took, and I'm sorry, the colors on this are very difficult to see. We took all of the answers from all of those. So there are pink and blue boxes. Each one of these is a pink and blue box, which is an issue that we kind of put together and said, you know what, these issues all kind of speak to a sense of place. These all speak to natural environment. And we pulled all that data together from all those surveys, from the forum, from all the data points that we had, from the coasters, from everything, and really kind of parsed it down into these yellow blocks of values. Staff did that. We then brought that to the Master Plan Advisory Team, and they spent several meetings then whittling this down more into a set of value statements. So these are the value statements that we came up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. Community character, sense of community, a connected city, a healthy, beautiful environment, a strong economy, an engaging, responsive, accessible government, demographic diversity, a safe community, and quality of life. And the Master Plan Advisory Team took these values out to then the poster session, which was at the O-Pee-Chee Inn, and we asked people to vote and prioritize and wordsmith and come up with action items. And then the Master Plan Advisory Team said, do we need to make any changes to this? Are we happy with these values? And they are happy with these values. This is their final draft set. So, go back really quick, sorry. So, now the master plan is a document that's approved by the planning board. So the next step, and I apologize, I had copies of these and I left them in the copier. These are online and I can make sure to get you copies of these. I've probably handed them out to you in the past. But this is going to become chapter 1, the vision statement chapter of our master plan, to be voted on by you guys. So I need you to really look at this. I need you to give me any input, any changes that you'd like to see. We can either refer that back to the Master Plan Advisory Team, or we can vote to move it forward. I should let you know too that we will be presenting these values to the City Council on Monday. Master Plan Advisory Team will be there. They will be the ones presenting this to basically let the City Council know as well kind of what the process has been and what we've come up with as well. But do keep in mind this is a document that's approved by you guys, so thank you. So the next steps as we move forward, so we have an economics chapter we're working on next. It's under construction, and I say construction because it's not something that's just going to be drafted. There's going to be a lot of research that's a part of that. By Community Opportunities Group, Inc., that's the company that we've hired to help us out with that economics chapter. They'll be working on it for the next couple of months. Many of you, several of you, but not all of you, probably will be part of either stakeholder meetings or interviews so that we can get your input on the economics and land use as we move forward. Future land use maps for the land use chapter will be completed as part of a Plan New Hampshire charrette August 28th and 29th. The dates have been chosen. So please save those dates. Make sure to pass that information on. We'll have save the date programs in the next couple of weeks for you guys to hand out to people. Very important that people come to these because this 2-day charrette is really going to help us define those maps that will be in that master plan. Very similar to those maps that were in that EPA Smart Growth Report. of the Weirs, of Lakeport, of downtown that say, this is what we want to see in the future. We want buildings here, we want sidewalks here, we want this to be green space, we want roads perhaps to change a little bit here and there. So it's very important that folks attend that.
Those, excuse me,
Yes,
those
yes.
in priority, or is that just the way they just happen to be illustrated here?
That's just the way that I wrote them down.
Okay.
But I think that subliminally in my brain, that is probably the prior, yes,
Okay.
how we are working on them.
All right, I didn't know what
Yep.
was the background on that. That's good, though.
And then we have the natural resource chapter being drafted with help from the Audubon and Lakes Region Planning Commission as well, and we'll be making sure to get that out to the community this summer as well. So I'll have, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Lights can go back on, yep. All right, that's all I have then. Thank you very much.
See this again.
At the, hi Hamilton, welcome. For the record show, Hamilton McLean has joined us and will be a voter this evening. At the Master Plan Advisory meeting for the economic chapter, we were also joined in there by Councilor Henry Lippman and the Mayor Ed Engler, who fully participated that evening in all the discussions, and
Absolutely.
that we welcome that, and it was very good for them to become engaged with us in this process at this stage.
And we welcome any of you as well. Even if you don't sit on the Master Plan Advisory Team, if you are interested in the economics, please let me know. We'll put you on that mailing list. If you are interested in the natural resources section or the land use, let me know and I'll make you part of those organizing groups as well. We've had several call-outs in Laconia Links for folks to help join us with subcommittees, so it would not be unusual for folks to step forward.
And all these meetings are, as all of our meetings are public meetings, and so they can be attended by anybody and everyone that has a,
How often do you meet?
as needed, every month and a
Yeah.
half, 2 months.
It's more frequently. It's gonna be probably twice a month or so.
And don't you meet during the day?
We have been meeting, yes, we have been meeting during the day. We have been meeting toward the lunch hour from 11 to 12:30 or so people can do an early lunch hour. That's worked for people. If we start getting more attendees and that's an issue, we can change that time to afternoon or evening or whatever works for that group.
Yeah, it was the desires of the group to work at that time. It fit their work schedules.
Well, I generally get up and go to work in the morning and stay there for the day.
What time do you go to work, around noon?
Gotta fix that.
I try to get in by 1:30.
Oh, okay.
I stay as late as 3:30 sometimes.
Remember, this is televised, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. If there aren't any additional questions on this, appreciate it. We have no extensions we do have a continued public hearing, and I'll call the public hearing to order again, and is for application PL 2015-0083SU, 0084 CUP Wetlands. It's for 596, 602, 618 Scenic Road, and it's a condo conversion. And there's actually three things. One is a discussion of sidewalks, second is a subdivision approval, and the third is a CUP. And Chris, and I have to state, it is a 6:45 we're beginning the public hearing. Thank you very much. Mr. Dupree, you're kind of crooked there. I mean, your map is kind of crooked.
Oh, thank you.
Excuse me.
It may stay crooked because I can't figure it out.
But that's fine. That's fine, I can see it.
Not that bad, yeah. And they have the plan in front of them as well.
Okay, good. Good evening, everybody. Chris Dupree on behalf of the applicant, or applicant, I guess, Oxford Vista LLC. This is the project that I introduced to you last month. Duplex at 618 Scenic Road, which is under construction. A building permit was issued on that last fall, and we broke ground. That's nearing completion. Another building, same status at 602 Scenic Road. We were in previously on this one for a conditional use permit for wetlands buffer impacts. And then 596 Scenic Road, site of the former Ortolani property slash Purple House there. So the application before you is to convert all of these into one condominium. And also, one of the requests that had come along in the approval of this project at 602 was culverts under the driveway of the 596 property, which at the time we did not own. So that's the wetlands. There's a wetlands impact there. And then also buffer disturbance for the for culvert crossing at the driveway of an intermittent stream in this location. We have been through TRC 1 and TRC 2, and I believe addressed all of the comments that were raised. Pending approval, we do have a couple of legal matters to tie up with our condominium documentation. I think we're all set on easements, but I have to check with Shannon and verify on that. But also, we have a planned lot merger of these two properties, which we need to address.
Chris, do you have that form tonight? This
The lot merger? No.
chairman can sign it. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it's, because there are two different ownerships, I wasn't sure if it was one merger or two.
We'll talk about that after.
There really weren't a whole lot of comments during the TRC process. There was a request from the fire department, or kind of a statement that this driveway needed to be 20 feet wide at the point where it serviced multiple properties. So we've widened that out. There was a request from DPW for a generator, backup generator to service the pump station, because this will tie into the city sewer and city water. I think that was, those were kind of the most substantive comments.
Are you going to comply with that request for the generator?
We are.
Thank you.
Chris, can you speak to the sidewalk situation
Yeah.
as well?
Yep, so we have a waiver in for sidewalks. I think, as we've talked about now, the developer will have extended sidewalks from this location now all the way down to where the Aqua Marina has an obligation to put their sidewalk in, so there's a continual sidewalk. We've also, as part of our overall development plan, put in, I don't know the exact figure, but thousands of feet of sewer and water, extension of the municipal services in this area. We've also agreed to contribute to the cost of an upgrade of the pump station that's to the south, down closer to the marina. And in addition, we've created an extensive trail network on the developer's property that will support a lot of the pedestrian traffic from the occupants of these dwellings. We now have a network that ties this property, and this property into a trail network that goes all the way back over to the paved cart path. And, again, I didn't total it, but, we've increased the tax base, we'll have, when the final valuations come in on Bluegill Lodge, in excess of $20 million, $25 million in this area. To date, of our 16 townhome residents, there are 3 full-time residents. Our customer base, are typically vacation, seasonal occupants. no children in the schools, so I think, you know, I think we've contributed, you know, our fair share, quite frankly, and the amount of sidewalk that we're talking about here is, you know, on the order of 100 or 150 feet, I think is the number.
All your sidewalks are gonna be on the south side of Scenic Road and going down, hooking in with a crosswalk across the road and going down to Aqua Vista, is that correct? I define that side of the road, so the south side of the road, because that's where you get the
On the lakeside.
North
On the
side.
lakeside.
side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, north side.
So it hasn't been painted yet because we still have to do a top course of pavement on Scenic Road, which, you know, if this application is approved, we'll have a, you know, at least one cut for to extend the municipal water onto the property.
Okay.
And then we have an obligation to put the crosswalk in at this location.
It looks like it's drawn at the North Lodge on the plans, the crosswalk.
It is.
So are you gonna do like a little section of crosswalk from the driveway of the new one you're talking about tonight to just along the roadway to the other driveway? Were you thinking of
Crosswalk or sidewalk?
sidewalk? The crosswalk's over on the other side of the driveway. I just don't know what the
It is.
terrain's like between the two driveways. Are they gonna be able to walk from the 6 units easily to the driveway of the North Lodges to get to the crosswalk?
Yeah, can you walk there easily? Yes, you can. Can you fit in a municipal sidewalk? I'm not sure about that.
There's the
About 100
path,
feet away.
Are you looking to waive that section too?
yes,
Yep.
Okay, not just the section from the left of the driveway going down the
That's
hill,
right.
where you're
Yeah.
looking the whole thing.
that's right, yep. And there is the cart path, or the pedestrian path up above, too, that will connect down to the parking lot of the...
Right, but I mean, if you're walking out of one of those 6 units and you want to go down to the weirs, and you want to use the crosswalk, you're not going to go to the cart path, right?
No, there are also some wetland.
Well, that'd be a long walk if you did.
Yeah, well, if you're out for a walk, you know, and you're nervous about that 50
Will there be
feet,
another crosswalk?
I wasn't sure what the 50 feet was like.
Any restriction on another
There's a drainage
crosswalk?
swale.
100 feet, it's about 100 feet away, 90 feet away.
Between the road
No,
and
that-
and where the terrain
I mean,
starts.
is it something where, you know, you can walk,
Yeah.
can you walk there?
yeah, I mean,
On the shoulder.
yeah, it would be on the road, it would be on the shoulder of the road, and it is a rock line drainage swale there, so, you know,
It'd be kind of hard to.
So it's not real steep.
it's not real steep, but it's not something you'd walk through either. You'd walk down the driveway onto the road and then down, yeah.
Could
The
you have
roadway
another-
is not
So you're
steep.
Have
comfortable?
another crosswalk?
No, I don't think so.
That's
It's,
about 100 feet away, get down the end of
I don't think
that.
they're not going to let you have another crosswalk.
no, it's,
way.
yeah, I think it's even, it may
Who's
even
that,
be closer
state?
than,
DPW, and I'm surprised they let you have one.
Yeah, they'd
Correct.
be, you know, they'd be 20 or, well,
Why?
less than 50 feet
I
apart.
don't like crosswalks,
Is it gonna be any indirect lighting for that crosswalk, or is it just gonna
something like that.
darken up at night?
Well,
there's no lighting.
Yeah, that crosswalk was part of the other project, so.
Right,
There's
so
no
it's
lighting
gonna-
at the crosswalk.
No,
no.
no lighting on that at all?
No.
No, there are lights, you know, for lack of a better term, street lights, but right here at the entrance to the townhomes, and then along this,
Driveway.
along the driveway into North Lodges, so.
Thank you for clarifying it.
There is some light in the area, it's not totally dark.
That duplex is on the right-hand side. The way that cars and pedestrians get in and out of it is around behind the Bluegill Lodge down to that area. So there's really no entrance directly onto Scenic Road from that property. It's all around behind.
That's correct.
Thank you.
So, I'm confused. What are we looking for a waiver of sidewalks? I'm just
Correct.
confused. What are we looking for? What?
A waiver for sidewalks.
For this parcel.
A waiver for sidewalks.
For the entire parcel?
No, so.
We're talking about tonight,
The
right?
confusing thing about this project is that, I apologize, is that we are talking about these three, and I apologize, the plans actually, don't show that single, it only shows the three. One over here is not.
I guess you're talking from the left-hand
Yeah, I
edge of
realize
the
there's no
lodge's
overlay.
driveway, all the way down to the lot line that abuts Aqua Waterfront.
So what we're talking about tonight is this part, if you look at the very last sheet of your plan set, these three buildings here and this single building over here. This Bluegill Lodge is already approved and done and not part of the discussion. But these 4 duplexes will become one condo association. So the sidewalk frontage we're talking about is the 171 feet here and the, I think it's like 11 feet or something over on this little parcel. The reason we are recommending the waiver is because as part of his other proposals, Chris, on behalf of the applicant, has brought sidewalks down already across a portion of this with a crosswalk to this driveway. So this has already been covered. So really, we're talking about 11 feet down here. Now, an important thing to remember, too, is that this applicant, under an LLC, also owns this large parcel, which is actually about this big. So the sidewalk conversation will start again, you know, at this end of the property when this parcel gets developed. So we did think that it was appropriate to issue the waiver based on the fact that as part of previous proposals, he really brought sidewalks down across this already when he didn't really have to. That connects all the way back up to the marina.
So they've got sidewalks on the other side of Scenic Road.
Right, he
Correct.
ran it from, he ran it from the new places all the way down to the pump station, pretty much.
Yep.
Okay.
Just a practical question, and I think it falls outside the planning board scope, but the emergency generator, is that covered by Department of Public Works, Water and Sewer? Who recommended that?
Oh, your question is to me. Sewer department.
So-
It's a sewer.
Right.
Yep.
So that emergency generator, when the condominium association takes possession, they are now responsible for that generator.
Correct.
Are there any requirements on what they have to do to maintain it, or does it just need to sit there with fuel in the ground, ready to go whenever it's needed? Is there any, do they have to exercise it? It has to be certified or anything like that?
Yeah, so there was some maintenance language as part of the condo docs that the DPW did recommend. Yep.
Okay, so there are requirements. Got
Yep.
it. Okay, thank you.
Is it an LP generator out there?
Probably be diesel, I would imagine.
Diesel?
Yeah, we haven't sized it yet. I mean, this was,
Probably be
you know, this was a new request.
Mm.
I mean, it's been, we've done other projects where it wasn't required. And it came up on this one.
How many KW was that offhand, do you know?
I don't. You know, we haven't sized it yet because we just got the design in on it.
Some of these generators have a feature that they automatically cycle
Yeah.
over a period of time. I know
I'm
the
sure what you'll see
gas
is
does, but I don't know about the diesel.
I would
So that
think-
might help in their thinking.
DPW is probably gonna come up with a spec within the next
Yeah.
year, because it makes sense to have them for any pump station.
Okay.
So I would imagine they're gonna,
Some of the-
you're the first, but there's gonna be a lot more.
Are the lodges included in this? No.
No.
No, okay.
No.
So it's a condominium, it's going to be a condominium association of discontinuous parcels? They're not connected?
Correct.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, the staff, would you like to make any recommendations or comments?
I will speak to each of the 3 issues. For the conditional use permit for the wetland buffer, we are recommending approval with the same conditions as for the other issues. For the sidewalk waiver request, we are recommending, we are supporting granting the sidewalk waiver. In this situation, the applicant with their previous projects have gone above and beyond the required sidewalks in the area. So we are recommending, or we would support a waiver of the sidewalk requirement as well as the payment in lieu. For the subdivision, we are recommending approval with just a couple of plan revisions and a couple of additions to the condominium documents, which we've discussed with the applicant in TRC2.
Are those written into?
Yes, they are
Okay.
recommended, they are written to the staff recommendation, so those would be A through K for plan revisions. Conditions prior to final approval would be A through F.
Okay, as long as they're in here.
Yep, they're all in there. And if you have any questions, I can answer those.
Does the board have any questions of the staff at this time? But you're always open to questioning anything, anytime.
Because we've had discussions about the waiver of sidewalks and how we're going to treat that, I just want to make sure we're clear that in terms of what he's done, he's really given us sidewalks on one side of the road.
That's correct.
Yes.
Which is what we're saying really satisfies.
He's met the requirement for
Yeah.
sidewalks.
Satisfies
Yep.
the sidewalk requirement, although because it's on the other side, we got to call it a waiver, so.
That's right.
Yep. It's a pretty unique situation.
You're getting this down pretty darn good, Counselor. Very good. We're going to reelect you.
I don't want to get, I don't want to get caught up in like future waivers of sidewalks when we've been having that discussion and it's ongoing
No,
discussion.
it's very appropriate, very appropriate. Then, Chris, would you share your podium? Are there any abutters who would like to speak? General public like to speak to this application? Then I declare the public hearing closed at 7:01. Thank you. So any general discussion of the board before we entertain a motion?
Just a question.
Yes, sir?
Where does the impact fee go? Does that go to the weirs?
No.
Or does it go to the city?
It goes, so as part of the impact fee report, it goes to several different departments' needs based on growth.
And how do we allocate that?
I can find that for you real quick.
Now, this is the impact that you're discussing, not a sidewalk waiver. Okay.
Right.
Just to be clear.
So now, don't forget that impact fee is 25% of what was recommended, so we only are requiring 25%. And it goes to public schools, police, fire, recreation, roads, libraries. And I don't have the percentages in front of me, but for this, these are 2-unit structures. The total fee is, total fee is $9,000. We only require $2,000 because we only require 25%. Of that $9,000, $5,000 goes to public schools, $300 goes to police, about $700 to fire, $1,000 to recreation, $800 to roads, and $600 to the library. And again, we only require 25% of that, so the total fee per unit is $2,300.
But the lion's share of it goes to the school.
Goes to schools, that's correct. And that is based on a report done by an impact fee consultant several years ago when we put this into place, who looked at the last 20 years of expenditures and how and the last 20 years of growth, and how the expenditures and the needs of those departments grew based on the growth levels, and then at what percentage based on those growth levels, to project as we continue to grow what the needs would be of those
So
departments.
there's a set formula that we've developed. Who adopted it? Was it the planning board or the city council?
City council, we recommended it to the city council like zoning ordinance.
And how long has that been in place?
Since 2011.
Okay, so it's fairly,
Yes, it is.
And the planning board does not allocate the funding, it's done by that formula.
we did.
But the total-
At some point, the planning board recommended the implementation of an impact fee based upon this formula and a tracing of the past 20 years of history.
Correct.
Council adopted it, and so now
At the time that the
You're paying
applicant gets the CO to the property, he pays that impact fee. And to be honest with you, at this point, I think in most of those categories, the money gets spent almost immediately on existing debt that we have for projects that were put in place based on anticipated growth. Schools, library, recreation, roads probably goes to their annual roads budget.
well, this is kind of a lesson for me, so I'm just going to ask one more question.
Absolutely.
When the money comes into the city coffers and it's allocated
Mm-hmm.
by the formula, can then, if it goes to the school department, can they do anything with it that they want? Or do they have to dedicate it to some project or some
Right.
already designated bond issue?
Exactly. It has to go to be spent on impacts due to growth, and those have been identified. So it must be for additional school space, additional classroom needs based on growth, not based on full school upgrades
A
or,
new teacher or something like that.
exactly, yes, that would be based on growth, yes, yep.
But the responsibility for the allocation passes, is a complete council responsibility. And the reason we put this in was a joint desire of both the planning board and the city council that the impact fees be, a regulation be put into place. And it was done over a period of time.
Well, it sounds like a really good idea. I'm just trying to figure
No,
out how
no,
it works.
that's why, it's great that you're here.
Yeah.
So, we're back to, then, I'll entertain a motion first for the waiver for sidewalks.
Make a motion to application PL 2015-0083 SU for the waiver of the sidewalks and the in-lieu payment.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise their right hand. All those opposed? Then the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Motion for application PL 2015-0083 SU and PL 2015-84 CUP for the approval of the CUP wetland.
Second.
And we can do that all in one, the subdivision and the CUP?
Well, I meant to do the CUP separately.
Oh, okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And now for the,
Make a motion to approve application PL 2015-0083 SU. And we already did CUP with project plan revisions, August 4th, 2015. Site improvement security, September 1st, 2015, or before the start of work. Mylars and final plans, September 1st, 2015. The completion date is July 5th, 2016. Plan revisions 2A through K. Conditions that must be met prior to final approval, 3A through K. 4, conditions to be completed prior to start of work, A and B. Conditions applicable during and after construction, 5, A through H, along with as-built plan 6.
is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Counselor, no, you're just David Bounds, planning board member, seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, raise their right hand. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And Chris, thank you very, very much. And again, I'd just like to say how proud the city is of the work that you're doing and the residents that you're offering. And I would say, I was just out on the lake the other day, looking up at your units in there, and they just blend perfectly. The colors, the style, the trees that are remaining, it's all extremely attractive.
You mean you
And-
could see them through the trees?
That's what I want. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
No, they don't stand out at all. I mean, with the textures and the colors and everything, it just fits very, very nicely. I'm looking forward to the other ones being built, too. The second public hearing, it's not a continued, it's a new public hearing. It's for application PL 2015-0080 CUP Wetlands. It's for 32 Davis Place. It's a proposal to build a 6 by 12-foot deck within the buffer of the Jewett Brook. And it is 7:10, and I declare the public hearing open. Are you the applicant?
I'm the mother of.
Oh, okay. Just come over. Is there a microphone over there, Kalina?
We moved it over there, did he? Okay.
So, okay. Could you just tell us who you are and explain the application a little bit, please?
My name is Priscilla Bean. My son bought 32 Davis Place. He's going to fix it up for his daughter. And because of the brook and everything, we were hoping to be able to put a deck, not realizing that there was a lot of rules and regulations. This is my first time here, so I'm not exactly sure what you want.
Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect.
found out that the deck doesn't meet the footage that it should. So I'm asking if it could be allowed just the same. The design that you have, or that I did, is where we would like to have the deck. However, we are willing to put it 5 to 6 feet further down the house, to the back of the house, so that we would get approximately another 2 feet. So we would be roughly maybe 7 inches or so short, if I measured correctly.
Okay. We just ask you questions as we go, that's all. Would the staff have any comments?
So Priscilla has worked through TRC1 and TRC2 with all of the departments. She's also been working closely with specifically Scott McPhee, the Conservation Commission technician, and Steve McCusker, the building inspector, to kind of come up with a good way to enable them to have their deck but also be as in compliant as possible. They've come up with a way to have the sonotubes, so the footings basically much further back from the water line, and they're going to use kind of heavier joists in order to basically cantilever the deck over so that the actual ground impacts are even further away from the water line. She's been very cooperative and accommodating. Scott and Steve have both been out there multiple times to meet them on site. So we would recommend approval of the CUP. And I think if you have any questions.
Any questions? I did a site inspection, and I would commend you for acquiring a house that long past its usefulness, and you're in the process of restoring it to a what gives the appearance of a very nice addition to the neighborhood there. And am I right that almost the entire lot is within the buffer, and so it is not no incursion greater than the entire thing is within the buffer district. So I think this is a wonderful addition to what you're doing. Any other comments? And then are there any abutters that would like to speak? There are none. Are there any members of the general public that would like to speak? There are none. Therefore, I'll close the public hearing at 7:15. And if there's no discussion, I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the applicant, PL 2015-0080 CUP at 32 Davis Place Drive, I guess.
Excellent. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, the motion includes the staff recommendations 1, A through D, 2, 3, A through F, and 4, A through C. Is that correct?
Correct. Right.
Okay, thank you.
And the project completion deadlines as stated on the application.
That's right, yep.
I don't want to correct you, but
Nope,
it's kind of nice to be able to do that. Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Any opposed? Okay. The motion passes unanimously. You have your approval.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I didn't have my packet from last month, so that's why.
Oh,
Quite all right.
You ready?
so let's see. We have no application acceptances before the planning board. Under new business, reappointing of Dean Anson to the Lakes Region Planning Commission as a representative. Dean, this is his second appointment to the Planning Commission, and he serves on the Executive Board, and he's a tremendous addition to the Executive Board and the Planning Commission.
We tried to do that last month, and we couldn't because of he was appointed or something?
No, so I think there was some confusion about
Okay.
who is supposed to appoint him. And the way the statute reads is that the planning board has to make the recommendation, and then the council can appoint.
I see.
So, yep. So the council, unfortunately, the council's already appointed him, but we still need to make that recommendation.
So I'd like to ask for a motion to reappoint Dean Anson to the LRPC.
I move that we recommend to the city council that the reappointment of Dean Anson to the planning commission.
Wow.
How do you like that?
And Gail, would you like to second that
I'll
motion?
second this.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Any opposed? Thank you all very much. It is unanimous and approved. There is no old business. Into the planning department reports.
Yep, so just a few projects that are going on. We've got the Gateway Park under construction. You can see that right in front of Sawyer's Jewelers and the church and the parking garage. And that should be done within the next month or so, month and a half or so. Let's see, any other projects that you wanted? Quick, we've got the Lakes Region Community College under construction. We've got the Apple Ridge Apartments under construction. The Christmas Island open house was a couple weeks ago. Hopefully, some of you guys made it. I know the notice was kind of late. But they have one full set of units, I think, completed, if not a couple, and they're continuing. The foundations poured for all of them. They're continuing to start to build as they sell.
They're very impressive also. One of them has as you know, Gail was there also that day. One of the units has a elevator, personal elevator within it.
39,000.
Pardon me?
39,000 upgrade.
Oh, okay. And then the other unit doesn't. They're very impressive units. The ones right alongside the road there.
And we've got Governor's Crossing down on Endicott East, starting Phase 2 as well. So I think I've kind of hit most of the projects under construction.
How about across from Christmas Island? The guy who cut all the trees, anything going on over there?
That is a single-family home with a very good view. He's cut a lot of trees on that property. Our conservation tech is in touch with him often about erosion control. There are some small wetland pockets up on that property, so he also makes sure that those have not been encroached on. So we're monitoring that, but at this point, we've been told it's for a single-family home.
I did have an opportunity and was asked by the Laconia Rotary, and a couple weeks ago I gave a presentation similar to what I did for the master plan community meeting on the growth and investment in the city. And it's, as you all know, it's absolutely astounding. It's huge, and there's more growth, more investment going on right now in the city than in the rest of the Lakes region combined. And I just went over with them, as I did at our community master plan meeting, just project by project by project, and all of you here will go, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. But the general public isn't aware of everything because they all have different timelines for approvals, for financing, for other approvals. There's a tremendous amount going on.
Just a question, kind of going back to the economics chapter of the master plan. Will the consultant, will they look at, try to establish any kind of a multiplier that exists when we see $1 invested within the city in residential or commercial or any type of business, any type of real estate development, how that relates to jobs creation and economic expansion or anything like that? So we can kind of say all these projects that we reviewed and approved that are under construction have created 25 jobs.
Almost like a multiple to Ibitar or something like that, yeah. That kind of thinking behind it.
I don't know if they can do
I'm
that.
not sure if we can do, I mean, jobs created because of construction, or jobs
related to it. You know, for
we can
example,
certainly ask.
Well, there is something out there, I forget where I read that, but for every house that's built, it's like having 3 full-time employees. You can
I'll bet you the
verify
New
that
Hampshire
somewhere, but there's something like that.
Home Builders Association would
Has that, okay.
It's a huge factor. There's a economic principle that for every dollar earned in a community is a multiplier of 7. So for every job that we have in the city, those wages you multiply by 7, and that's the
roll over
impact.
7 times.
Yeah, it rolls 7 times, and that's the impact on the community. So that's why job creation is so darn critical.
That's up to Jobs filled by people within the community. Okay.
So the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the fact that we have nothing on our August planning board agenda, which is actually wonderful timing because it also is the same night as National Night Out. This is an event that the Laconia Police put on. They have several groups there to speak and have tables, and they've invited us to come and talk about our master plan process and our Reimagine Laconia process. And so what I'd like to do is invite all of you to, and we will post it as a meeting, come with us to Levitt Park, and we will have a table set up and speak to folks as they come by about your role in the planning board, about what that means, about what site development means, about what we do in the community, how we help the community grow, and we'll have the master plan advisory team there as well, talking about the Reimagine Laconia effort and asking people questions, land use questions, economic questions, to get some input that night to help us on our master plan advisory team. So it is August 4th. Yep, it's from 5 to 7. So it starts a little earlier, but it will get you home earlier as well.
Is it going to be in the clubhouse, or is it?
It's going to be at Levitt Park. We were just talking about whether or not I think the clubhouse will be open for restrooms, but I think a lot of it's going to be an outdoor type event.
Okay.
It's rain or shine, so if it does rain, we may move into the clubhouse, but it lines up with, it's a national event, so it lines up with other National Night Out events on that night, so there is no rain date. But I think that would be a wonderful thing for you guys, to come out and start talking to people about what we do and how important this master plan is to the community. My understanding is that they held it at kind of a funky location last year, but the previous year that they held it, which I think, was that at Levitt Park as well? It was at a larger park. Wherever it was a larger location, and they had over 100 people come over those 2 hours. So there'll be quite a crowd. The more of you that I can get to meet and greet with people, the better impact we'll have across the community. So,
What this will also do is help us with people that want to join us, either as full members or alternates. We're always, because there's a natural turnover of the board. And so for them to see, touch, talk to you, and realize you're real people will help us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you'd like to?
nope, all set.
The liaison report, the Lakes Region Planning Commission, on the 29th, last Monday night, we held our annual meeting in Meredith. As you know, the Planning Commission is made up of 30 towns and cities in the Lakes Region, and this was the strongest annual meeting we've had in 5 years. We had a capacity crowd in the Chase House. In fact, we had a waiting list of 15 people that wanted to attend that meeting. And it was not because I was reelected chairman. It was because we had a great speaker. It always comes down to the speaker. And we had a representative of the U.S. Department of Agriculture that's responsible for the Research Center, which is in New Hampshire, and her topic was on the climate conundrum, what we know, don't know, and need to know from global to local perspectives. And she approached climate change from a very informative and not overly scientific basis, but it was all based upon scientific research. And it really comes down to that New Hampshire is changing, and it is changing because of carbon dioxide, fossil fuel emissions all around the world. New Hampshire is becoming warmer. We're going to have less snow continuously, and we're going to have experienced major stormwater events, both snow and rain. When they hit, it's going to be brutal, and it's because of our carbon dioxide across the globe. And she was excellent. And there is a brochure that they have published all about this. If anybody would like to borrow my copy, I'd be more than happy to.
I was there, and there was an interesting concept that she presented, and that is, with less snow cover, the ground freezes, and it stresses the trees, the high-quality saw logs that have been our staple in the lumbering industry. And as that occurs, those trees are going to either be stunted or they're going to die off because there's just less snow to insulate the ground from freezing. Didn't realize that.
And how this has major implications for us. As you know, one of our primary concerns is stormwater management from the planning board for all new applications. And it also has tremendous implications for the city as a whole because of the stormwater systems that we have throughout the city are old. And from the redesign of the roads and the reinvestment that and we face, all cities face the same issue in towns, is their aging infrastructure, and that there's going to be a continued need for reinvestment. And as we saw in the Weirs just a couple of years ago, that tremendous stormwater event that came down and wiped out the boardwalk and the road and almost broke the sewer pipe. And so what they're talking about's real, and it's happening.
We should anticipate what's going to happen, because last winter was really a tough winter for snow. We had a lot of snow last winter.
Well, she was indicating that we are going to have these periods of, like in January, we didn't have snow, everything cleared, and we were raking lawns. And then all of a sudden February came, and we were killed.
Did she also talk about
February, March, and April.
Yes.
She talked about the advent of possibly another ice age?
No, she
That's
did not.
usually-
No, she didn't.
Warming happens before you have the ice
Yeah,
age.
the warming of the planet is causing the poles to melt,
Right.
and it is having that effect.
And what that does is it puts fresh water into salt water.
And
And
raises.
that affects the current going over to Europe. And when that slows down, which it will,
Then we have El
eventually
Nino.
you have an ice age. That's the advent of a new ice age, because the water isn't coming around, isn't warming up. That's another theory. So I don't know how many theories she brought into her presentation, but
She did not bring that
Yeah,
in.
okay.
It was really related on the Northeast and New Hampshire and what actually is happening here and what our responsibilities are.
Yeah.
And
Can I see the
since,
brochure?
It's really, scientifically,
The other one.
empirically, it's really impossible to deny that climate change is occurring because of human activity. It's really, there's just...
As long as it gets warmer, I don't care.
Warren, can you share the speaker's name with us, please?
yes, it's right on there as the first
first one?
speaker. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
Lindsay-
excellent.
Lindsay Rustad?
Dr. Lindsay Rustad, her presentation was excellent, too. I could understand most of it.
Thank you.
Let's see, other than that, Conservation Commission?
I will relinquish to either
Yep.
Donna or Brandy.
Yep,
Whoever
so-
wants to participate.
Conservation Commission is well into their water testing. They're doing both tributary testing and deep water testing. They have put a call out to form a milfoil subcommittee. They'll be working with the Lakes Region Watershed Association to try and come up with a Laconia-based watershed management plan dealing with milfoil. And the call has gone out to all area towns to kind of get on this a little bit so that we can come up with a lake-wide milfoil management plan. And from my understanding, they will be meeting on Wednesday night to discuss that further. If you're interested in being on that subcommittee, please let me know, and I can let you know when the next meeting is as well. They're moving forward on their DES grant for the Black Brook Watershed and Culvert Study. They've gotten a portion of the hydrogeologic study done. This grant will pay for basically the action items section of that grant, where we look at each culvert and make recommendations on how to upgrade the culvert or fix the culvert and the banks for better bank stability and water flow and less erosion. And they are working feverishly on dock-related permits. It's been a very busy week. With the holiday, this is probably one of the busiest weeks we've had down in the Code and Planning Department. Everyone is back for the holiday and for the summer, and in to get dock permits and building permits and site plan approval permits and everything else, so.
How are the residential building permits going, the single family or the duplexes? We never see them here. Is it strong, equal to last year, better than last year?
Boy, I should know that. We are just finishing up our numbers for the end of June, and to me, it looked very strong. We had 9, I can tell you, we had 9 new single-family dwellings last month, with a total value of $200,000 or so. Must be more than that.
Yeah, it would have to be,
Yeah.
that's the average, that's the
That
average
must be the
price of a
average.
resident.
And
times that, probably.
let's see, what else? I don't know how that relates to last year. If you look at the council packet, which will be ready on Friday, the operational and fiscal trends report will have that data. It will tell you how building permits have done and how they relate to this year, this time last year.
Now, the easy way to get that is through Laconia Links.
No, the easy way to get that is on the homepage. On the city's homepage, there's a box here with the calendar, and it'll say City Council meeting. If you click on that, it'll say Agenda and Packets here, and you can click on that and get that. If you have any trouble, you can give me a call and let me know.
That report is, we get that report every city council meeting.
Every month, yep, every other, yep, council meeting, yep.
Every month.
Oh, excellent.
Do you have any duplexes? People pulling permits on duplexes? I'm not sure we have.
Chris's condo that we just approved were 6 duplexes, 3 of which are under construction. So yes, the last couple months we've had his duplexes come
Other than
forward.
his duplexes.
Other new duplexes,
I don't
no.
think we ever have them going back into areas anymore. I don't know. You asked that question. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
at the
If we
planning
had
board,
it-
we only deal with 3 or more.
I
so
know,
we
but
don't-
we've never seen, I don't think we've seen any duplexes. I haven't seen any duplexes being built in this.
Yeah,
in the
they're
city.
built every once in a while. There's a lot of conversions, large existing single-family home conversions to 2 families
Okay.
that we see, yep, yep.
The triplex up on Hilliard Road that we approved is under construction. I was just driving up there. They're moving on it. They've just have the sheathing up on the outside.
Oh, is that only at that point now?
Yeah.
Okay, further along.
But they are moving along on that. Any other comments about the Conservation Commission questions? No? City Council report. Sir, you're here.
Yeah. 2 things. One you may not know, the other one you know very well. Surprisingly, there are 3 applications for the planning board for 2 permanents. Yours is coming up, I guess. And for 2 alternates to the planning board. So the council is going to be considering 3 applications for essentially 2 positions. Wow. Yours included. And alternate positions. So that will be interesting.
Well, we have, we're authorized for 3 alternates. And
My
so,
understanding is there are 2 alternate
Open.
positions open.
Right, Mike filled one.
Mike is
He's one
one.
of the 3
yeah,
alternates.
so there's 2 open,
There's
and
2
then there's 2
open.
regular seats open.
Oh.
The one I'm currently occupying and the one that Larry
Oh, right.
just
Where
resigned
they're
from.
incumbents, but right now, those 2 alternates, we have nobody.
Yeah, but
We've
we,
got 3 applicants. 3
but 4
applicants.
seats.
And 4 seats open. The question is whether some of the applicants would consider serving as an alternate, in which case we would have almost a full board, save 1 alternate position. which
That's
would be
excellent.
Kind of cool.
We're going to be very cozy around this table.
Yeah. We've
Yeah.
been in that condition, and it's excellent, because alternates, as you know, Michael, it appears to be confusing, but when you listen to the old salts here, like Jerry, he leads you through the path of these motions and things like that.
There was just one thing that I was hoping we would consider, and that is for the new folks, including myself, is in making these
Motions?
motions, what we should include in it, so that when we look at the packet and you call for a motion, all of us, the new guys, know what we should include, that it's number 1, A through K, all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that we're,
Just listen to
Listen to
him.
me, 'cause it's the same way I learned.
Yeah.
okay,
Listen to the
that's
other
fine.
people.
And-
That's
and-
fine.
And it follows
You
the
gotta take
same,
notes during the meeting.
So, because if there's changes to any conditions
Right.
or approvals, you gotta make sure you
So everything
incorporate those.
they talk about, you have to take a note on exactly which they want it changed.
Okay.
And then the rest of it's just the dates. And making sure you hit the key 6 items.
The number,
And
the
they're
date,
all, they're all right in the
For
staff
example,
report.
Condition.
Chris's, Aqua's motion, there were no dates for the for completion or
There was
There
on the
were.
last
submission.
one.
There were?
On my last motion there was,
Okay.
But on my waiver for sidewalks, I don't need them.
Right.
And on the CUP, I don't need them.
Right.
It's just for the final motion.
For the site plan and subdivision, right.
And the reason we have to read those things carefully is the written record is the record that if the applicant does not agree with our decision, their recourse is not the political arm of the city, it's into Superior Court. And it is not a trial by jury. The judge there reviews the record. And so when we come up with decisions, it's very important for all of us to articulate our reasons for that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If we just sat around and made no comments about anything and then just took a vote, if the applicant didn't agree with that and the judge was reading the record, he would have no basis for saying, well, did they, because his concern is, did they consider all the laws, and are they fair and are they consistent? And so that's why we go into verbal recording
Understood.
of it. Any other comments?
Can we talk about pumpkins
I'm
for a
not
moment?
finished with my liaison report.
Oh, my God.
David! I thought you had it all.
This is amazing.
All right, go ahead.
This is the one you all know. On June 29th, we held a public hearing to determine whether the public benefit outweighed any private benefits so that the city could go ahead and loan the 609 Main Street LLC $1.4 million with more money and a structure that I'm not going to go into. If you want to talk to me about it, I'll be glad to talk to you about it. So, apart from all the really good development that's going on, it was a unanimous vote by the council, a near unanimous vote by everybody who spoke, and the room was so full that we couldn't let everybody in, and we're going to restore the Colonial Theater. Hip, hip, hooray. This is huge. Now I'm done.
And you agree, it is huge, and it's something that's definitely needed downtown, that's for sure. But I want to chit-chat about pumpkins. Do we know where it's going to be, physically where it's going to be? I get people always asking me questions about it.
Yes.
I don't know what your department, Shanna, is
Charge of
going to be doing in that. And do we have a shape for it at all? or
We do, yep. So this is going to be October 24th, the week before Halloween. It's going to be held here in downtown. It is the same group that was in Keene, and they have come up here. It's being organized by the same woman that organized the Keene Pumpkin Fest for several years. The classic tower that was at the end of the Keene's Main Street is going to be in Veterans Square, near the train station, either in the parking lot or in the square. I'm not sure that we have a final location for that. And then there will be shelves of pumpkins down Main Street, all the way down, Main Street, all the way down Main Street to also put the pumpkins on. The woman that's organizing it is before the Special Events Review Committee, and she actually was unable to attend the last meeting, but she was at previous meetings, and there will be vendor space available, there'll be a food court, there'll be children's games, including pumpkin bowling and pumpkin painting, and all kinds of things that folks will be able to participate in.
That's great, and there's a lot of people, like garden clubs and stuff, as I'm being told, that would want a contact name. I guess it was going to be our Chamber of Commerce, but
That's
it
right.
appears it's that woman, because all
The Chamber of Commerce is the one who vendors need to talk to.
it's vendors.
Yes.
But if
Yep.
they want to participate with the actual making
No,
of
you
the
can still go to
pumpkins,
Congress. You can still.
I guess they would have to contact that woman.
I would go through Carmen. I would go through Carmen Gifford.
I just want to, there was 3 attempts to go through Carmen, and she defaulted to the pumpkin organization.
Okay.
So I think that should be cleared up, because there's people out there that would organize and, come up with 50, 100 pumpkins. I don't know what the groups have
Great.
decided to do, but they need some
Okay.
that can guide them in the right.
Yeah, and if you want to give me contact information, we can
Oh, sure,
swap
definitely.
numbers. And,
Is
yep.
is it designed to be a money maker for the event organizer? Or is it basically to bring people into town and they spend money and?
Right. No, I do not think she makes money on this event. I think she loves doing it. She has made it clear that she really wants to work with the community to make sure that it is a community event, that the community benefits from this. I must say, this is someone who, sleeps and eats pumpkins. And every time I've seen her, she has some different combination of purple and orange on. So she loves this stuff. Her passion is just, it's palatable. It's
Can we do
amazing.
the coffee fest with the pumpkin fest, and we have coffee and pumpkin pie? That'd be great.
Yes,
Any other
so-
serious
September
questions?
through October, we're going to have the multicultural day downtown.
In September. That's in
We're going to
September.
have the coffee,
Yep.
coffee fest downtown.
That's
And
correct.
we're going to have the pumpkin fest.
Yep.
That's exciting. Going in the right direction.
Laconia rocks, man.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of legal offices downtown, right? Any other serious questions here?
Serious question.
That was a serious question. No, that was. Then on to minutes. The minutes are distributed electronically within so many days after our meeting. You will all head them.
I
Are there-
move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the minutes pass unanimously. Next is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the regular
I
planning
make a
board meeting?
motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. And again, thank you all for participating. It's very important, and this was very productive. Thank you.
David, the city is going to lease back the theater?
Yes.